I think this is class 135 on Golden Doves. I'm losing track. And I'm in a rush, so I couldn't check the previous class. But anyway, I think it's 135. Page 76, that I do know. Negation. So there's the idea of negation. The idea of negation is an idea in linguistics. It's also an idea in the thinking of Harambam, in the Moreh Nebuchim. We'll see that, right? So you need to understand the idea of negation. If you don't understand negation, you can't understand things to do with Maaseh Bereshit, Maaseh Merkavah, right? Semiotics and semantics. So negation is related to something about the distinction between semiotics and semantics. What is that? What are those things? So we'll see. But we're going to start with a quote by Sartre. Negation is an abrupt break in continuity. So what's an example of an abrupt break in continuity? What does that mean? Right. So it's not just a break in continuity, it's an abrupt break, meaning something is being displaced here, something is being mixed up, or not really mixed up, but rather there's an affirmation, or perhaps we should say a counter affirmation, right? Which cannot in any case result from prior affirmations, right, says Sartre. So it's not that the prior affirmations that we made now result in the negation, but rather the negation is like, wait, hold on one second. It's that moment where you're like, oh, yeah, or no, right? It is an original and irreducible event. So the negation itself has meaning. It's rich with some thing, right? Now you understand, for example, and we're like kind of jumping the gun here, but in the Torah, when you write the letters, you need to have the blank spaces. So the blank spaces between the letters and between the words are that negation. And without that negation, the Sefer Torah is pasul, right? So here we see that John Paul Sartre is thinking along the lines of Hilchot Soferim. Okay, but I'm kind of jumping the gun and I'm saying a lot of things here. So I want to try to not just block the sun so you can see me, but read it a little. The specific sense of ma'ana in Shalach. All right, so we were discussing Shalach, we were discussing ma'ana. You all know what that means at this point. But the specific sense of Shalach and ma'ana, let's go a little more deeply into this. Can best be apprehended in light of Emil Ben-Venice's fundamental distinction between semiotics and semantics. If you listen to professors talking about linguistics, many professors, they conflate the ideas of semantic and semiotics, and they use those words interchangeably. And one of the great chidushim of Emil Ben-Venice, and my father taught this to me, is that the words are not supposed to be used interchangeably. They're actually different words, right? So we're going to try to understand the difference between semantics and semiotics. And that difference, as Jews, as Sephardic Jews specifically, we can understand the difference because that difference has to do with Shalach and Ma'ana, right? And these professors of linguistics, they don't have that, right? So they use the words kind of like in a, they conflate the words. So here we go. The unit of a semiotic system is the sign. So of course, you have a semiotic system, right? You have the traffic light, right? And the traffic light has three signs, green, yellow, red, and each one means something else. So those signs each have an independent meaning. An essential quality of the sign is that it has specific sense and isolation. Red light means stop. So I don't need to see a red light next to a green light next to a yellow light. If I get to, like, say, a railroad crossing and I see the red light, I know to stop. Even though there's no yellow light, even though there's no green light. So the red symbolizes stop. And when I see a red stop sign, it means to stop. So the unit of a semiotic system is the sign. An essential quality of the sign is that it has a specific sense and isolation. So important. in semiotics, right? The sense is conventional. Now, what does red mean stop? It's completely conventional, right? They could have chosen orange, they could have chosen purple, they could have chosen gold, they could have chosen many different colors, they could have chosen black, right? It's conventional. Society decided that red will mean stop, and perceived equally by all familiar with the sign, so that anybody driving a car, doesn't matter what their ethnicity is, doesn't matter what the language they talk is, they understand, I see a red light, I better stop. The sense expressed by signs in association is the effect of the sum of their individual senses in isolation. So now when I take the red light together with the green light, together with the yellow light, I have a semiotic system. And the semiotic system of these three different signs, each sign standing in isolation, when it's combined with the system, has the same meaning. Right? Syntax applies to the rules governing this type of association. So there is a certain syntax. We combine the three signs together in a vertical alignment, possibly, right? As it is in the United States. And this vertical alignment combines the signs. A combination of the signs is the syntax. How are the signs combined? But the meaning of the signs in isolation is identical to the meanings of the signs combined. Signs cannot participate in a semantic composition, right? So it's not you say, well, hold on, the red light, when it's next to the yellow light, the meaning has changed a little. No, it's not. It's not changed. So there is no semantic composition, right? By semantic, we mean something above the meanings of words, something more outside the perimeter of the field of the word, right? So there is none of that in the semiotic system. The semantic unit is not the sign. So when you have a semantic unit, now, so we dealt with the semiotic system. Let's deal with not a semiotic system, but a semantic system, where meaning is generated by the words combined in a way where the meaning extends beyond the particular lexical. I used to use the word semantic perimeter. I don't like that word anymore. It would have been better to use the word lexical perimeter of the words, right? In a semantic composition such as music or painting. So let's leave language for a second. Let's look at music. Let's look at painting. The basic elements, sound or color, do not have any specific sense. So I say, do. That's not musical, is it? Right? But if I say, do, a deer, a female deer, right? Oh, suddenly we just heard a melody. So the note, please do not make any mocking comments as to my singing skills in Western music. My kids already do that, so I don't need any further humiliation. Do, a deer, right? So you see how the the notes on their own mean nothing. But when you combine them, your brain hears something musical, right? The signification that these elements have within a given composition arises from the opposition that the artist establishes between the elements. So by putting these notes next to each other, there's a certain opposition between the notes. It's not just they're combined, but the difference between the notes is what generates the musical experience. The signification, right? The particular sense present in the individual elements of an artistic composition is the creation of the artist. And that's the creation. The creation is taking these disparate elements, musical notes, combining them in a unique way to create a unique opposition which the mind of the listener can hear, and hopefully hear music, right? Or something akin to music. Right. So the particular sense in the individual elements of an artistic composition is the creation. That's the creation of the artist. The artist creates his own individual semiotics. Thus, the artist creates his own semiotics because now the meaning of each tone or each note, that meaning, which is in opposition to other notes. So now when I say do, doesn't have any meaning, but I say do, a deer, a female deer, right? So now I'm giving meaning to the do, right? Musical meaning, obviously, right? Right? So now I'm creating this new type of meaning. So it's a sense of semiotics. Of course, we're using the word semiotics in a slightly rough fashion. So, right, this is a quote from Emile Benveniste, who is the one who spawned the idea of the distinction between semantics and semiotics. Thus, the artist creates his own semiotics, right, in the sense that I said so, that I explained. He establishes his oppositions by means that he himself makes significant in their arrangement. So he arranges the notes in a way where there's a new type of experience and a new type of processing by virtue of the new opposition. Accordingly, he neither receives a series of signs recognized as such, nor establishes one. So it's not like now that he said do, a deer, that now do is going to always mean that. He doesn't establish anything new, right? Because somebody else can take the note do and put it in a different opposition. There's nothing permanent about the way this artist decided to use the word do. Color, for example. Now, Benveniste, I spoke about music intentionally to make it a little different than one Benveniste is speaking about, but he talks about color. Color, a material thing. So think of art. You have color, comprises limitless nuances of shades, none of which is equivalent to a linguistic sign. So the word, sorry about that, the word cat has a conventional meaning. Anybody using the word cat needs to use it in its conventional sense. I can't say the cat ran away from the dog and I say I gave new meaning to the word cat. No, you didn't give new meaning to the word cat, right? Or the cat jumped up and down. Didn't give new meaning to the word cat. In a semantic composition, the artist, in a sense, gives a unique meaning to the units of the semantic composition. Again, do, a deer. And if I was adept in music, I probably can find another song with the note do, as almost every song does have that, and show you how the do in that musical composition is different or sounds different than the do in the Sound of Music.